Good morning, third graders, or should I say good afternoon. We are still studying astronomy, our solar system, and beyond, and this is lesson 3, our solar system part 2. Some vocabulary you'll hear in the read aloud. Dense is an adjective. It describes something. It means compact, having all the parts very close together. Frigid is an adjective, and it means extremely cold. Greenhouse is a noun as it's a building with a transparent glass or plastic roof and walls made to trap in heat from the sun and grow plants all year round. NASA is an acronym, NASA, an acronym for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. It's an organization in the United States that directs space travel and research. And then the word polar, it's an adjective. It describes something. It means related to the pole of a planet or the area surrounding it. So what have we learned so far? How many planets are in our solar system? There are 8 planets. Name the 8 planets in our solar system in order from the sun. We have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Which planet position is Earth from the sun? We are third. What other celestial bodies can be found in our solar system besides the sun and its planets? Dwarf planets, comets, asteroids, meteoroids, and moons. What is the difference between a meteoroid, a meteorite, and a meteor? A meteoroid is a piece of space debris. When it enters a planet's atmosphere, it is called a meteor. If it reaches the planet's surface without burning up, it is called a meteorite. What is a dwarf planet? It is a spherical celestial body that orbits the sun and has not cleared its orbit of debris. That's why it's a dwarf planet, not an actual planet, because it hasn't cleared its orbit of debris. What is the atmosphere of a planet, and how does it affect the planet? It is a blanket of gas. Let me wait for that bar to go away. It is a blanket of gas that surrounds the planet. It holds in heat and helps the planet and keeps the planet at a steadier temperature. Would you like to take an out-of-this-world trip? Over the next few days, we are going to go on an exciting tour of space in our very own classroom spaceship. The only luggage you will need to take with you on this adventure is your imagination. Are you ready? Let's buckle up and get ready for takeoff. Go ahead, buckle your seatbelts. We'll start by traveling to the planet that is closest to the sun, Mercury. As we approach the planet, we will see many craters on its surface. These are the result of hundreds of meteoroids hitting the surface of the planet. You will probably notice right away how small it is compared to our planet Earth. At 1/3 the diameter of Earth, Mercury is the smallest planet in our solar system. It's certainly hot here. Our spaceship is reading the surface temperature as being 750 degrees Fahrenheit. The side of Mercury that is facing the sun is very hot, but the side of the planet that is facing away from the sun, the dark side of Mercury, is frigid, dropping to negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Brr. It's hard to imagine being as cold as 300 degrees below zero. Whew. It's amazing the difference in where the sun is and where the sun doesn't shine. You might have guessed that Mercury gets very hot during the day because it is so close to the sun. But why does it get so cold at night? It's because Mercury has no real atmosphere, even though there are occasionally a few gas particles around the planet. Without a real atmosphere, there's nothing to trap the sun's heat to make it stay warm on the side of the planet that is not facing the sun. The smallest planet in our solar system, Mercury, makes its orbit very quickly around the sun. One planetary year on Mercury is only 88 Earth days. That means it only takes Mercury 88 Earth days to orbit around the sun one time. But even though Mercury's years are short, it rotates very slowly on its axis, so its days are very long. One day on Mercury takes about 58 Earth days. How would you like to have the sun set and have it stay dark for about a month's worth of Earth days before the sun rises again? Good thing it's time to leave Mercury and head for the second planet from the sun in our solar system, Venus. The first thing you will notice about Venus is that besides being Earth's closest neighbor, it is practically the same size as Earth. Like Earth, Venus also has an atmosphere. But unlike Earth, the atmosphere of Venus is made up of very thick gases, including lots of carbon dioxide. Venus's thick, cloudy atmosphere is also very dense, with 90 times the pressure or heaviness of Earth's atmosphere. Venus is actually hotter than Mercury, even though 850 degrees. Venus is actually hotter than Mercury, more than 850 degrees Fahrenheit. Venus is the hottest planet in our solar system. The reason it's hotter than Mercury is that Venus's atmosphere creates a greenhouse effect, which means its dense atmosphere acts like a thick blanket, trapping the sun's heat at the surface of the planet. This causes the planet's surface temperature to rise because the heat can't easily escape into space. Venus is called Earth's sister planet. Why do you think it is called this? They are similar in size and location. Carbon dioxide is one of the gases that people and animals on Earth breathe out and that plants take in. Why is that surprising? Mercury is closer to the sun than Venus. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know why I said that. Venus' atmosphere is similar to the plastic or gas covering of a greenhouse, which traps the heat energy from the sun. The next stop on our tour of the solar system is Home Sweet Home, Earth, the third planet from the sun. From way out here in space, it looks different from all the other planets. Planet Earth appears as a swirl of blue, white, and green. Thanks to our water-filled oceans, the clouds of our atmosphere, and the green of the plants growing on our planet. It looks bright and glowing and alive. We live on a very beautiful planet. Let's zoom past Earth and head towards the fourth planet from the sun in our solar system, the red planet Mars. Mars is the largest of the 4 rocky planets in our solar system. As soon as you see it, you know why it's called the red planet, because it really is reddish. The red color is caused by the presence of rust in the surface rocks. Even though Mars is only half the size of Earth, it still takes about 24 hours for it to rotate on its axis. So a day on Mars is nearly the same length as a day on Earth. Like Earth, the red planet has an atmosphere and even polar ice caps made of frozen water. But the thing that may really catch your eye as we get closer to our solar system's tallest volcano, Olympus Mons, which is 3 times as high as Mount Everest, Earth's tallest mountain. That's right, Mars has the tallest volcano in our entire solar system, much larger than any here on planet Earth. As we prepare to leave the Martian orbit, we will pass by its 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. Why such funny names? The planet Mars was named for the Roman god of war, Mars, who was called Ares by the ancient Greeks. Phobos and Deimos were Ares' sons. There you go. There's some Roman history there. Pretty cool. We'll have to go through the asteroid belt to get from Mars to Jupiter, the fifth planet from the Sun. The distance between Mars and Jupiter is more than 3 times the distance we've traveled so far. Do you see Jupiter? There's no way you could miss it if you tried. Remember, Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and it's absolutely gigantic. It's so big that more than 1,300 Earths could fit inside it. Did you know Jupiter has rings? Saturn is famous for its beautiful rings, but Jupiter has them too. In fact, all 4 of the gas giants in our solar system, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, have rings, though the rings are not visible in many images you see of Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune. You may be wondering if we could land on the surface of Jupiter. Like the other gas giants, there's not a solid surface to land on, just hundreds of miles of gas, below which is a sea of liquid hydrogen. Besides, Jupiter's atmosphere is extremely cold, stormy, and windy. These storms are what give Jupiter that marbled appearance. Do you see that giant spot on its side? That's called the Great Red Spot, and it is a gigantic storm that's bigger than the entire Earth. There's no way we... What does that say? Let me see. There's no way we can land a spaceship there. Let's take a look at some of Jupiter's moons. Scientists have discovered more than 60 moons so far, so there are many to choose from. Here are 4 moons discovered years ago by Galileo Galilei, a scientist you will hear more about later. Their names are Callisto, Ganymede, Io, and Europa, made of materials ranging from frozen ice to molten or melted rock. These natural satellites have amazing sights, which include frozen oceans and volcanoes. Are you ready to head to the next planet? Saturn, here we come. The distance we must travel to get to the 6th planet from the Sun in the solar system, Saturn, is about the same distance it took for us to get from Mars to Jupiter. It's far. Like Jupiter, Saturn is another gas giant, and its atmosphere has winds that are even stronger than hurricane winds on Earth. But what may take your breath away is the sight of the rings. They are absolutely beautiful. You might be surprised to learn that Saturn's rings aren't solid. They're made up of millions of pieces of rock and ice. Astronomers believe that the debris in some of Saturn's rings is held in place by a combination of the pull from Saturn and the pull of some of Saturn's many moons. The moons that are believed to help hold some of Saturn's outermost rings in place are called shepherd moons. It's time to head to the 7th planet from the Sun in our solar system, Uranus. If you thought the trip between Jupiter and Saturn was far, then you may want to sit back and take a nap. The space between the planets gets bigger out here where the gas giants are. Uranus is about twice as far from the Sun as Saturn is. No wonder astronomers didn't discover Uranus until after the telescope was invented. It's a long way away from Earth. It took the NASA spacecraft Voyager 2 12 years to get to Uranus from Earth. NASA is an acronym that stands for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, the part of the U.S. government in charge of space, science, technology, and exploration. Good thing our special classroom spaceship goes faster than Voyager 2, or we'd be here in space a long time. As we approach Uranus, you may be wondering why it appears to be rolling on its side. The poles of Uranus are in a different position than the poles of other planets. Uranus's axis is tilted a lot more to its side than the other planets in our solar system. Many scientists think the axis became so far tilted during a collision that happened when the solar system was forming. Like the other gas giants, Uranus also has rings and moons, though the rings are not easy to see like Saturn's rings. After that long trip from Saturn to Uranus, you may be wondering how far away the next planet is. It's just a little farther than the last leg of our trip from Saturn to Uranus, which is to say, very far. A leg of a trip is a section of a trip. What would the last leg of a trip mean? How would you refer to the beginning of a trip? So the last leg of a trip would be the last part of a trip, right? And I guess the beginning of a trip you would call the first leg of the trip. Finally, we have arrived at the last planet, 8th from the sun in our solar system, Neptune. Even though astronomers knew a celestial object was there before they identified it, the planet Neptune was discovered fewer than 200 years ago in 1846. It is the last of the 4 gas giants in our solar system. Neptune has 2 rings around it that are hard to see, many fewer than Saturn. Scientists don't know as much about Neptune as they do about some of the other planets. It's hard to study because it's so far away. Astronomers think Neptune has at least 13 moons. Like Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, Neptune doesn't have a solid surface to land on, making it a bad place for spaceship landings. You may remember from the ancient Roman civilization domain that Neptune was the Roman god of the sea, similar to the Greek god Poseidon. Do you think we can land on Neptune? Why or why not? Who remembers what these 4 outer planets are called? The gas giants. Astronomers think Neptune has at least 13 moons. Like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune doesn't have a solid surface to land on. Let's look beyond the last planet of Neptune, farther out into space. Objects beyond our 8 planets are called trans-Neptunian. Here's where we find the dwarf planet Pluto. There are many other trans-Neptunian celestial bodies in our solar system, even farther away than Pluto, that astronomers are only beginning to discover. The distances in space between these objects are astronomical. And beyond our solar system, there's a whole neighborhood of stars. And beyond that neighborhood of stars, there are billions of other neighborhoods of stars, where there's a whole universe out there just waiting for us to learn more about it. Who remembers some things about Pluto? What do you think astronomical means? Pluto is the most famous dwarf planet because it was considered to be a major planet until 2006 when it was reclassified. It is small and has not cleared its orbit of most other objects. It is very far away. What does astronomical mean? It has to do with astro, right? So it has to do with stars. What is the smallest planet of the 8 planets in our solar system? Mercury. What are some facts that scientists know about Mercury? It rotates slowly. Its planetary year is 88 Earth days. Its day length is 58 Earth days. It has a rocky terrain with many craters. It has no real atmosphere. It is very hot on the side facing the sun and frigid on its dark side. It is the closest planet to the sun. How does a planet's atmosphere act like a greenhouse? It traps the heat from the sun and warms the planet. Which planets did you hear about in today's Read Aloud that have atmospheres dense enough to make this greenhouse effect? Venus and Earth. Compare and contrast the sister planets Earth and Venus. How are they similar? How are they different? They are the second and third planet from the Sun. They both have atmospheres that are dense enough to help warm the planet. They are similar in size. Venus's atmosphere is much denser than Earth's. Venus is much hotter than Earth. We do not know of living things on Venus. What are some facts scientists know about Mars? It is covered by reddish, dusty soil, has a very thin atmosphere, has polar ice caps, is about half the size of Earth, is the fourth planet from the Sun, has 2 moons or satellites named Phobos and Deimos. Describe the planet Jupiter. What is the great red spot on Jupiter? Jupiter is a gas giant far from the Sun. Its atmosphere is very stormy and constantly moving. It has rings that are hard to see. It has more than 60 moons. It is the 5th planet from the Sun. And then the red spot on Jupiter is a gigantic storm on the surface of the planet. Compare and contrast Saturn and Neptune. How are they similar? How are they different? They are both gas giants far from the Sun. They both have rings and moons. How are they different? Saturn is much bigger than Neptune. We have known about Saturn much longer. Saturn's rings are more visible. They are the 6th and 7th planet from the Sun. What characteristics make Uranus unique in our solar system? Its axis is tipped far away, far to the side. Why has Pluto been reclassified as a dwarf planet rather than a planet? Scientists have made more discoveries and established new criteria for identifying a planet. Pluto has not yet cleared its orbit of debris. Other celestial bodies of similar size have been discovered. What does the acronym NASA stand for? NASA. What is it? National Aeronautics and Space Administration. What does NASA do? It's part of the United States government that has to do with space technology and exploration. You have learned that the sun is a constant source of heat and light. If all the planets receive light and heat from the sun, why are the planets not all the same temperature? Many of the planets are too far away to be warmed very much by the sun. Venus and Earth are the only 2 inner planets that have enough of an atmosphere to trap the heat that reaches their surfaces, enabling them to keep the dark side of the planets warm. Scientists have learned a great deal about our solar system, but they still have much more to learn. What planet or object in the solar system would you like scientists to explore more, and why? I'm interested to hear your answer, or read your answer, I guess. Our word of the day is frigid. In the read aloud, you heard the dark side of Mercury is frigid, dropping to negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Say the word frigid. Frigid means very cold. Without our atmosphere, Earth would be extremely hot during the daylight hours and frigid during the nighttime hours. All right, good job, third graders. I hope you enjoyed learning more about the planets in our solar system today.